Every classic photo of the Old West has the same haunted look. Faces drawn, lips clamped shut, smiles erased by agony. Forget Hollywood's bronzed outlaws and flawless cowboys. In reality, most were teenagers already shriveled by sun and starvation, suffering teeth ground down by grit and jaws shattered by whiskey dentistry. Why did the frontier transform young bodies into ruins before age 30? The truth is uglier than any gunfight, and it is written all over their unsmiling faces. In 1880, a young outlaw named Billy the Kid sat for a tintype portrait in Fort Sumner, New Mexico. He was 21 years old, but the photograph tells a different story. His cheeks are hollow, his eyes shadowed, and his teeth already show early signs of decay. Across the frontier, this was the face of youth. Cowboys in their teens and early 20s looked decades older than their years. Period photographs from Dodge City, Deadwood, and Abilene show rows of men with deep furrows carved into their skin, hairlines receding, and hands that seemed too battered for someone barely out of adolescence. The average working cowboy stood about 5'7" and rarely weighed more than 140 pounds. Diaries and census records describe meals that barely met the minimum for survival: beans, salt pork, hardtack, and coffee, day after day. Fresh fruit and vegetables were almost non-existent on the trail. Malnutrition was a fact of life, not an exception. Scurvy, swollen gums, and muscle wasting set in before most cowboys reached 25. Most of the cattle drives that shaped the legend of the West were run by teenagers. 16-year-olds rode drag at the back of the herd, breathing dust for 16 hours at a stretch. By 30, a cowboy was considered old. Few lasted that long. The work was relentless. Ropes tore fingers, and accidents with horses or cattle led to broken bones that healed crooked if they healed at all. Pension files from the 1880s list cowboys missing fingers or with hands permanently twisted from old injuries. Hollywood casts men in their 30s and 40s as cowboys at the height of their power. But the reality was the opposite. The West was a young man's world, aged by hardship. The faces in those grainy photos are not outliers, they are the rule. By the time a cowboy reached 30, his body bore the marks of a lifetime spent fighting the land, the weather, and hunger itself. Barber chairs doubled as dental clinics on the frontier. In towns like Dodge City and Deadwood, a cowboy with a toothache faced a choice: endure the pain or let a barber yank the tooth with pliers, a shot of whiskey as the only anesthesia. There were no sterile tools, no numbing agents, just a firm grip and a quick prayer. The pain was immediate, but infection could linger for days or weeks. A single rotten tooth could mean a swollen jaw, a fever that never broke, or a death no one would record as dental. Photographs from the era show men with closed mouths and wary expressions, a far cry from the smiling, perfect-toothed heroes of Hollywood. Teeth. Bread was a daily staple, but every bite wore down enamel. Millstones left sand and grit in the flour. Each meal ground teeth closer to the gum line, turning smiles into blackened stumps by 30. Chewing tobacco was a rite of passage for teenage cowboys. It stained teeth, ate away at gums, and seeded cancers that went undiagnosed in a world without doctors. Period photographs show sunken mouths and lips pressed tight. Not stoicism, but the need to hide what was left. Enamel. The skin suffered its own punishment. 14-hour days in the saddle meant relentless sun, wind, and dust. By 25, skin was cracked, darkened, and thick as rawhide. There was no sunscreen, only a hat brim and hope for a cloudy day. Lice were constant companions. Bathing was a monthly event, if that. Cowboys rode for months without soap or water, their skin layered with sweat, dust, and the oils of 100 sleepless nights. Calamity Jane, immortalized in dime novels as a daring beauty, looked nothing like her Hollywood shadow. By her 40s, photographs show a face deeply lined, cheeks ruddy and swollen from years of hard drinking and harder weather. Her skin told the story of every mile walked and every night spent under open sky. In the Old West, a smile was a luxury. Exposing your teeth, or the wounds where teeth had been, was an act of courage few could muster. Skin. Saloon whiskey in the Old West was a chemistry experiment gone wrong. The bottle behind the bar rarely held anything resembling real whiskey. Instead, it was raw grain alcohol cut with water, colored with burnt sugar, and spiked with whatever would make it burn go out and down. Turpentine, kerosene, and chewing tobacco juice were common. Some bartenders added cayenne pepper for heat, or even gunpowder for bite. These concoctions earned names like Tanglefoot, Coffin Varnish, Tarantula Juice, 40 Rod, and Red Eye. A shot could cost as little as 5 cents or as much as 25 cents depending on the town and the desperation of the drinker. Payday brought lines at the bar and nights that ran until dawn. Diaries and bar tabs from the era record men down in 10, 15, even 20 shots in a single night. The goal was simple: numb the pain of a body beaten by hard work and harder living. The scene in period photographs is not the smiling movie Cowboy. Real faces are hollowed and worn, and the whiskey was the brief relief they could find. Rotgut stripped the lining from the stomach and set the gut on fire. Ulcers were common, and vomiting blood was not unusual. Chronic diarrhea, cramps, and burning that lasted for days were the price of drinking what the saloon keeper poured. The damage did not stop at the stomach. Homemade spirits poisoned the liver and kidneys, slowly shutting down the body's ability to process toxins. Cowboys who drank every week developed swollen bellies, yellowed eyes, and a constant ache that never truly faded. Clean water was scarce and the promise of relief was only a glass away, so few hesitated. The bar was a place to forget, even if it meant trading years of life for a night without pain. Every swallow was a gamble, and the house always won. Patent medicines promised relief but delivered poison. Bottles on general store shelves from Kansas to California included Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup, and a single teaspoon often contained enough morphine to kill a child. Traveling salesmen hawked miracle cures, heroin cough drops, cocaine toothache drops, laudanum for nerves with no prescriptions and no warnings. By 1900, 250,000 Americans were addicted to opium or morphine, many hooked by remedies meant for teething babies or sleepless mothers. Labels boasted of purity and health, but the contents were unregulated cocktails that left thousands dead or dependent. The body's other silent enemy was infection. A tooth pulled by a barber, a blister from new boots, a scrape from barbed wire, any opening could become a death sentence. Without antibiotics, bacteria turned minor wounds into raging fevers. Dental sepsis, an infection spreading from a rotten tooth, landed in the same medical ledgers as gunshot wounds and snake bites. In mining camps and cattle towns, deaths from infection outnumbered those from bullets by a wide margin. Army surgeons recorded that up to 15% of deaths on the frontier were caused by sepsis, with dental origins a common culprit. A cracked tooth or an untreated abscess could start a chain reaction of fever and organ failure. In places without trained doctors, the body lost its ability to fight back. The environment itself was a killer. Heat stroke and sunstroke claimed more cowboys than gunfights ever did. On the open range, men collapsed under the sun, their bodies shutting down long before help arrived. Army records from the 1870s list sunstroke as a leading cause of non-combat death. Even Dodge City's infamous murder rate never came close to the toll taken by exposure and disease. Photographs from the period show hollowed faces, sunburned skin, and exhausted eyes, not the tanned, smiling gunslingers of Hollywood. Those images are the proof that the West wore people out slowly, not spectacularly. Wyatt Earp, a rare survivor, buried his first wife to typhoid before he was 22. Doc Holliday, trained as a dentist, died at 36, weighing less than 100 pounds, his body eaten by tuberculosis and whiskey. He once joked at the end, "This is funny," expecting to die with his boots on, not in a hotel bed staring at his bare feet. The West did not kill with drama. It killed quietly through poison, infection, and the slow erosion of hope. Today, most of us will never know what it means to endure the daily brutality that shaped every face in those old photographs. Modern medicine and comfort are recent luxuries. The frontier's scars remind us that our bodies are fragile, and progress is never as distant as it seems. Share your thoughts below.